Welcome back, everybody, to the CapitolDJewel channel for another exclusive video. Today, we're talking about sustainable gardening and starting growing your own food at home. So we're going to be using this Jiffy pod seed starter to start our crops for 2025. And what you want to do is saturate them completely in water. And they come with this little bag right here, this super dry plant food. So you're gonna dissolve this in water, and they tell you to use a gallon, but we found in the past that a gallon of water has been way too much. So we're gonna start with 16 ounces and add as we need it. We're going to saturate our seed pods with it, and you guys will get to watch them expand. As they drink up the water, you'll see them rise and fluff. And they have this little greenhouse. They come with this little tiny greenhouse. When you cover it back up, it becomes its own little greenhouse. You still want to leave it in the sun, of course, to get as much sun as possible. And this is all of our vegetables that we're doing this year. So we're doing kale, we're doing broccoli, we're doing sweet corn, bell peppers, red bell peppers. These are sweet Keystone Giants. These are slicing cucumbers. We're also doing pickling cucumbers. So 2 different varieties based on what they're good for. And all of these are organic seeds. Wherever we can find the purest, most organic seeds, we are using them. These are green onions. We've got butter crunch lettuce, spinach, red onions. This is another butter crunch lettuce. We love that. We're doing plenty of that. We're doing little sweetie tomatoes, Halloween blend pumpkins. We've been doing this the last couple of years for the kids. Dark green zucchini and watermelon crimson sweet. We also do our sweet basil. We have our herb garden out front, but we don't have basil in it, so we're going to add basil. So you see on the side of the greenhouse, it has these little slots. So it also comes with these little tags where you can write what you want, but it didn't come with enough tags for all of the different crops that we are planting. So you can see they're starting to suck up the water. They're rising. They definitely need more water. So hey, Panda Girl, we're going to add more because we want them to stand up really, really, really tall. We want them to suck up as much water as they can so that we can fluff them out. And I'll show you how to do that as well. Once they have absorbed enough water, we will fluff them before we plant our seeds in them. Okay, so you see a little hole in each one. It already has this little hole on the top, and you're just going to stick your finger in and fluff them up. But they need to be moist enough before you want to even start doing that. Okay, so thank you, Daddy. He's bringing us some more water, and we're going to saturate them. This is another 16 ounces, and I got another one. So far I've added 32 ounces of water. For those that do not know, a gallon is 64. So far I've added half of the recommended amount, and I'm going to go ahead and add another 16, so 48. And I feel like this is plenty, but we'll get to watch them. You see, they're already sucking it up. They're already drinking this water because they really, 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 really need to be saturated before they'll do much of anything. So you get to see, we got to speed up our video a little bit too, so you didn't have to wait an hour to see how this works. You can kind of see them drinking it in real time, which is really, really cool. So you see how they're multiplying and they are expanding and fluffing themselves. So I'm just going to look at one of them to see how tall it's gotten. It really hasn't gotten tall enough. So I'm just even out this water a little bit and make sure they're all drinking it. Because you see the ones in the back are taller than the ones in the front. So we want to make sure that they are all getting the same amount of blood, same amount of moisture. Let's not just going to give them a chance to drink all this water. You want to wait and be patient because, like I said, I sped this up a bit, and it does take about, I'm going to say 15, maybe 20 minutes for them to really drink up all this water and fluff out the way that you want them to. So you can still see them expanding. You still see them standing up taller and taller as they get moist enough. You can really see how they change and how they fluff out and stand up. And you're going to fluff them even further, so you just want them to have as much moisture as is necessary to moisten the dirt all the way through, moisten the soil all the way through. So I'm going to put my little gardening glove on because it is almost time for us to do that part. I want to make sure that they've sucked up all of the water down in these little cavities before we start. And like I said, choose a labeling method. If you've got enough of the little sticks, then label them that way. I would suggest you stick one in each row and write down what you're putting in each row, or use the greenhouse itself. Lesson learned, use a permanent marker, because if you're leaving this out in the sun and in the rain, you're going to need something that is not going to get washed off or bleached off by the sun. So make sure you are labeling it with something that you can definitely see. Or you're going to be playing Russian roulette planting them. So we might be doing a little bit of that this season. Okay, so you see they all look pretty tall. They all look like they've sucked up all of the water in their cavities. And we're going to start planting them. So when you're doing this, I would suggest you plant all the seeds from one crop and then move on to the next one. You want to try to keep everything as organized as possible. Really no harm, no foul if some of the seeds get mixed in with others, but you will notice that you might sacrifice some crops that way. So, for example, we accidentally mixed in some broccoli seeds with the corn last year, and the broccoli grew in between the corn, which didn't allow for it to grow properly. So we lost 2 stalks of broccoli getting choked by the corn last year. So you want to be careful about how you plant your seeds and plant them fully. So yes, it's about that time. I've got my gloves on, so you'll see me stick my finger into each one of the little cavities and swirl, widen that little hole that's already indented in the middle. And also, the further you stick your finger down in the middle, again, the more it's going to stand up, the more you're going to fluff it out, and you give yourself a little bit more room to plant your seeds deeper in the dirt. So you want to do this with every single one of them. Make sure they all have a nice, deep, wide, fluffed out hole. Pretty uniform, calling in the troops, get daddy's extra set of hands. I will say this is a little bit harder for him because he's got big old baseball mitt hands, and I've got smaller hands, so I can stick a finger or 2 in there, swirl it, and I'm good. Takes a little bit of finesse for him to not overdo it. So if you've got bigger hands, be careful. You don't want to shred your pods because it is just dirt inside of a little biodegradable cup. So easily tearable if you are doing the most. Also easily tearable if they are too dry or too wet. So it's really important for you to have the proper amount of moisture when doing this. You see, most of these are already flushed out. They're looking pretty good. So we're going to make sure we're going to go back over them and make sure that they're all fluffed out pretty evenly, so that we can get ready to start planting seeds. the zucchini seeds. They almost look like pumpkin seeds, but they're a little bit slimmer. Really, really cool to see how different all the seeds actually look and what grows out of them. So daddy's got corn. Of course, these are just little corn kernels, and they will grow whole stalks out of them. Really cool to see that. So what we're doing is choosing a horizontal row and just planting all the way down the row. So this next one I'm doing is red bell peppers, the Keystone Giants. So these should all come out red and humongous. We'll see how those do. I don't think we've ever done this variety. We always do peppers, but we didn't do this variety. So you'll see the pepper seeds are just like the pepper seeds inside of the bell peppers. So again, we're going to go straight across horizontally in one of these rows. So it's 6 pods in each one of the horizontal rows, and they so that should give us at least 6 plants of each crop that we are planting. In some of these cases, we're planting many more seeds in each one, so we should get more plants. Okay, so the next one we're doing is the Crimson Sweet Watermelons. So you'll see these seeds look exactly how watermelon seeds look if you've ever had a real watermelon. Yeah, the watermelons are supposed to have seeds, just so y'all know, just like everything else. Everything is supposed to have seeds or kernels or something that they grow out of. So these are the watermelon seeds. If you do not see watermelon seeds in your watermelons, like seedless watermelons are like not a real thing. They're made in a lab just like most other seedless things, seedless lemons, all of that good stuff. Naturally, things have seeds in them. Why? So they can reproduce. You want your things to have seeds in them. You want your crops to have seeds in them so that you can grow more, right? This way you can maybe harvest your own seeds, which we have done before with our strawberries and with our bell peppers. So we're going to see how that goes at the end of the season as well. Next one is basil, sweet basil. So like I mentioned before, we have our herb garden in the front of the house, which has small amount of cilantro, lots of mint, a couple of different varieties of mint, spearmint, sweet mint. We also have some witches herbs, which are traditionally used in teas and medicines. So we have some mug's wort. Okay, so you see these little tiny basil seeds. They're very small. So I'm dumping a bunch of these into each pod, and they'll sprout into very small plants too. So it's really nice to keep them together, and they end up looking like a little bush. And then you can trim it and do what you want to do with it. But it's really nice to grow your herbs kind of all together. And we'll show you guys our herb bushes out front one of these days soon, so you can see how the years of propagating that mint and witches herbs has really allowed them to flourish. They've got this bed all to themselves and they look awesome. So we're going to add to them. On the other side, we've got one more bed, and we're going to add the basil, the cilantro. We've got a couple of other plants out there already. What are we growing out there already? I think it's 2 bell pepper plants and some red potatoes are growing out there in a pot as well. And we dumped a little bit of cilantro seeds in the dirt directly to see what that's going to do. So we'll definitely take you guys out there and give you an update to see how that stuff is doing. But we're going to keep it going with these. So daddy's doing pumpkin seeds right now. You see those look very similar to the zucchini seeds. So these are the cilantro seeds that we use. We also have the cucumbers and pumpkins growing around the fence. They get really viney, so it's really nice to have them growing up against something. It looks really pretty, but also it gives you a fruit, something to climb or grow up against. So the kids have their own little pumpkin patch again this season. I fall season. So they'll be able to carve their own pumpkins, pick their own pumpkins out of the pumpkin patch. It's really cool. It's really worth doing if you have kids in the fall. Planting your own pumpkins just becomes activities for them later on in the fall. They learn how to grow their own pumpkins, but they also care about growing them because they're looking forward to roasting pumpkin seeds and doing jack-o'-lanterns. Okay, so we're doing cucumbers now. You see those very pretty cucumber seeds. They look just like the seeds that are in our cucumbers when we eat them, of course. Which surprises people sometimes that the seeds look the same. It's the same seeds, y'all. You grow them. And like I said, maybe we'll be able to harvest some good seeds this year and show you guys how you can regrow your own seeds from your own garden. Seeds. We also dumped a little bit of these in the front, but crunchy lettuce seeds. We love this. This is our favorite lettuce. So if it grows like wildfire, beautiful. We're not upset about that. You see, we did 2 bags, so we dumped a little bit in the front garden bed with the herbs, but we're also doing a whole row of these. These are kale seeds. Look very similar to the lettuce seeds. They're all these little tiny black tiny seeds. These right here are red onion seeds. Again, these are super duper small, so I'm going to pour several of them into each pod. Make sure we get a good plant off of them. When you get tiny seeds like this, you don't want to plant them individually because the likelihood that they're going to sprout is slim to none. The more of them you plant, the better. Okay, we're doing broccoli next. Great success with our broccoli in the past. Pretty hardy vegetable. Little tiny black seeds as well, so I'm going to put a bunch of these into each pod. But you just want to do very specific sections. You want to make sure you know where you're planting these things in the garden as well. So if you don't care, you don't care. And if you know what they look like once they sprout, it's a lot easier to differentiate without labels and all of that. So here's red onions. Teeny tiny black seeds, teeny tiny ones. We're gonna dump a bunch of these. I was mentioning this earlier, the onion seeds are microscopic, so you definitely want to dump a bunch of them into each pod. And even if you're going straight into your dirt, you want to plant a lot of them together. They're going to sprout into teeny tiny little sprouts. and it's better for them if they grow together in a little bundle. Losing the sunlight. We want to get these finished for you guys before the sun goes all the way down on us. We only have a few more drops, and then we're going to put the top on this greenhouse and let them get some good sun, much needed sun tomorrow. So once you dump your seeds into each one, you see me carefully covering everybody up. Here's the rest of butter crunch lettuce. You see me carefully covering all of the seeds up, burying them a little bit with the dirt. See these tiny microscopic butter crunch seeds. So I'm pouring a bunch of these into each one. That bag I did before was spinach. Suggest, even if you don't see your sprouts immediately, you just give them a chance to sprout. And when it's time to move them into the ground, even if they haven't sprouted. Here's our flavor king bunching onions. These are really good if you like green onions. Now, little known fact, you can eat the sprouts off of any onions. So we're growing red onions. Of course, they will sprout as green onions on the top and grow red onions underneath the dirt. So if you like green onions, it's the same thing. You can continue to eat those. The bunching onions are going to sprout a lot more top green onions and pretty much nothing underneath the dirt. So if you really like those like we do and you use them for various things, you can always grow both, which is exactly what we're doing. Keep it or just dump it in the dirt and hope it grows. It doesn't hurt, and it can always result in some extra crops. If you've got the space and you want to dump them in, do it. These are our tomatoes, and now those are teeny tiny black seeds too. So dump as many as you can, plant as many as you can, cover them up with dirt. You want them to be buried. If they're not buried properly, they will likely not sprout. There's the spinach. Again, teeny tiny seeds. These are really small, so you want to make sure you get a lot of these. The only seeds that are big enough that I would only put 1 or 2 in the pod are like pumpkins. I think we only put 1, maybe 2 if they were smaller in each of those pods. You don't want to crowd them, and something like that is going to again sprout 1 plant from every single seed. And those pumpkin plants, watermelon plants, cucumber plants, things that are a little bit larger, they will grow an entire vine out of 1 seed. So that was our last one. We're going to cover this up with a little greenhouse topper and put this out on the front porch, which gets the best sunlight. Please like and subscribe, comment, and share. Thank you so much for watching.